Hi guys, so for this video I decided to focus a little bit more on sports photography and got the chance to interview a sports photographer that I interned for a couple years back. He's been doing this work for so many years now, and he's done everything from college sports to professional sports such as the Blackhawks and the Bears in Chicago. So hopefully this interview will give you a little bit of more insight of what it takes to be a sports photographer, especially if you're really interested in going in the field. Alrighty, but yeah, I'll start with the first question, which is like very basic. So basically, how did you get started into the whole just photography in general?
I started when I was in high school. It was something that I was kind of interested because when I first started high school, I was at a military school, and my roommate was a photographer for our military school campus. He was a year older. And I got all started because he had to develop pictures one night. This is back in the days of film, of course. And he had taken a picture of me that I wanted to give to my dad. So, like, yeah, come on with and I'll print it for you while you're there. And so I literally went over with him to the darkroom and watched him print this picture of me, and the whole process, no pun intended, was just fascinating to me.
Yeah,
that's kind of what got me like, wow, that's really cool. I mean, you know, to be in this darkroom and watch him put the paper into the developer and watch the image come up was like, it was magical.
Yeah.
And I had always liked taking pictures. And I remember it as a little kid being very frustrated because I had this little Instamatic camera, and I got like really close for like a macro shot of flowers, and it was out of focus, and I was so mad because it's not what I wanted. It's not what I envisioned.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of the first steps of what got me interested in it. And then my sophomore year of high school, I asked for a camera for Christmas from my dad. Got it as a Christmas present and played around with it for a little bit. And then about 3 weeks later, I went skiing and broke my leg in 3 places.
Oh, wow.
And because I broke my leg and I had this long leg cast, I couldn't ride the bus home, so I had to wait for my stepdad to pick me up every day from school. Well, he couldn't pick me up until after 5.
Okay.
So I had time frame between 3 and 5 to kill.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I befriended the photography high school teacher, and he would let me use the darkroom for 2 hours every day after school.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, so that kind of got the whole thing started. And then I started doing more and more pictures at my high school. And then from there, the local newspaper used to never cover my high school. And I went to the local newspaper and I said, hey, I'm at all these events. Do you need help or coverage or all that? They were like more than thrilled to hire me.
That's really
kind of
awesome.
see it all going from there.
Awesome, great. So then, like, my second question would lead to, like, why did you choose sports photography out of all different kinds? Because that's like your main focus, and I know you do different others, but
it was something that interested me. I'd always been an athlete in school and always been around sports and athletics, so I was interested in that. Again, I was driven by the work that I was given from the local paper, and then after working for the local paper for a couple of years in high school, they said to me, anytime you want a full-time job, let us know. And I kind of took them up on it a few years later.
Okay.
So,
awesome.
It was a niche that was needed at my paper. And when they hired me full-time, the other photographer on staff didn't like sports. He didn't shoot sports.
Oh, really?
So that kind of opened it up even more for me.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of like anybody. When you find something you're doing and you're doing well at it, you're encouraged to do more of it.
Yeah.
So people needed it. I did it. I did it fairly well. they kept asking for it, so I just kept doing it.
And what would you say is like your favorite part of doing it? Or the most rewarding thing about it?
I would say the diversity of it. You just never know from night to night. From night to night, I try to do something different or unique. So many games I do are all the same for the most part, but they're not. Each game is different, and I try to approach each game with a different ideal or attitude or approach. Trying to find a new angle, lighting, a way of shooting, whether it's like basketball. Like tonight, I'm going to do a basketball game at Notre Dame.
Okay.
I may try to shoot a little bit from above. I may try to shoot from the floor. I'll set up remotes, fire them, looking for a different shot, a different angle, or something like that. So that kind of keeps it fresh and rewarding.
Okay. And is there like one sport that you like to cover the most out of others, or does it vary?
Yeah, it varies. I guess I would say hockey and football. I know the sports. I like the sports. They're fun to shoot. They're always a challenge. Football's always been my passion from playing and all that, but hockey is a challenge because accessibility is tough. We have very limited areas when and where we can shoot. It moves so fast, you have to pay attention. You can't let your guard down because something could happen right in front of you in a matter of seconds.
Exactly. Yeah, and that brings up like another question. I know that you do a lot of college sports, but you also do professional. Like I've seen some of your photos from Blackhawks games. So what would you say is like some of the differences between college sports and then professional games?
Well, accessibility is a big difference, the obvious difference. Being at a professional event, rules are stricter, you're kept back, you don't have the freedom to put up a remote or things like that you necessarily would at a college game. I enjoy personal interaction with people, so at college games, a lot of the teams that I photograph, I know the kids on the teams, they know me. It's much more rewarding, I think, when I'm shooting a college game because I have a small vested kind of interest or personal attachment. This past weekend, I shot the North Central College football game on the senior day.
Oh, nice.
And I was flattered and just touched when a couple of kids came up to me and thanked me.
Oh, really?
And I was like, I just, I mean, but they went out of their way to say thank you to me. Yeah. And I was like, whoa.
So, well, it's kind of like
those kind of moments make it really cool and rewarding.
Yeah, it's kind of like you stop that time, that moment, and they can always look back into their college career and all that stuff. And yeah, exactly. So then, what kind of gear do you usually use for games? I know it might vary differently from sport to sport, but what do you usually bring with you?
I've got a bag with 3 camera bodies, Canon, 2 Canon 1DXs, 1 Canon 5D Mark III. In that bag, I've got a long lens. I just bought a Canon 200 to 400 millimeter zoom. And then in the bag, I have a 70 to 200 zoom. I have a 24 to 70 zoom. And then I have a couple wide-angle prime lenses. I have a 14 and a 15 millimeter. And just depending at what point during the game or the event, I'll use whichever lens or lenses that are appropriate.
Okay. Would you say like it's better to be more equipped, or is it better to just kind of keep it simple and try to be more flexible with what you have?
That's a good question. I don't like being caught off guard. I don't like ever being set up in a situation where I can fail. so I always have backups and whatnot. I feel more and more what makes me in demand or wanted or hired by people is the fact that I have the ability to adapt and adjust. I'm once you assign me or hire me, I'm kind of the problem solver.
Okay.
If I get put in a situation where I can't shoot from an area, well then I figure out a way to make it work from the area that I can be in, or the lighting or things like that. So I tend to like bring a lot of gear with me, just because you never know what could happen or go wrong.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good. And would you say that is it because like from previous mistakes that you've done or that you've seen other people do that you kind of bring? Okay.
Yeah, definitely both. Something that will like be a pet peeve of mine is I'll see somebody show up at like a sports event, a big sports event, and they've got one camera and one lens. I've been at games and seen where like a basketball game, a player comes out of bounds and steps on a camera.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm done for the day if that's all you have.
Exactly.
You know? So obviously having 2 and 3 cameras with me, other lenses, other options, if that were, God forbid, happen to me, I've got a plan B and a plan C.
Exactly. That makes sense. And is there any other kind of like, were there any kind of like past mistakes that you've learned from? Out of like so many trial and error.
Yeah, a lot of trial and error, of course, early on. You know, every day is different. Every game, every situation is different. You know, I guess if I could point to anything was, it's why I always show up early. Because if you show up early and you forgot to do something or you forgot something or whatever, it gives you time to adapt and adjust. Say I get to the game tonight in South Bend and the camera's not working or whatnot, and my other cameras aren't working or something like that, I've got time to find maybe a camera shop in town or whatnot. I had a game that got assigned to me at the last minute while I was already in the city, and I was like, oh, no problem, I'll go over for volleyball. Well, I didn't have my pocket wizards for the strobes, those little things, and I didn't realize that till I got to the game.
Okay.
And so to the game, I was like, oh no, I don't have my pocket wizards, they're back home. Well, from the city to home is like an hour and a half drive, so I quickly figured, all right, how do I solve this? Well, I ended up going to like a camera store and buying one pocket wizard. You know, figuring I would use it, you know, or you know, if I have to rent something or whatnot. So I guess that would be the biggest mistake or mistakes or things that I've learned over the years is I just get there early so that you have time to make adjustments.
Yeah, definitely, that makes sense. And so what would you say, what would like the top 3 tips that you would give for any beginner sports photographer or photographer in general?
Be open-minded. Don't be stubborn and say, hey, it's going to be, I'm going to do it this way and this way and this way. Always push yourself to do better. Never be satisfied with what you're doing. I'll take a picture that I like, and I honestly will like it for about 15 minutes, and then in my mind I'm picking it apart. Yeah. I know of some people or photographers out there who will be like, oh, this is such a great picture. Oh, you know, and they're in love with it. And I believe the minute you're satisfied is the minute that you stop pushing yourself to be better. The other thing I would advise is don't think you know it all. If you don't. I don't even know it all. Talking and working with peers, you know, so many people will come out of college and think, okay, I'm ready. And without naming names, I know some people out there who started early in their career and really didn't put in time as an assistant or as an intern or whatnot. And to this day, I mean, if there's something I don't know or understand, it's not beneath me to go and help or assist a friend of mine so that I can learn how to do something. And that's the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, never think you know it all. Never be satisfied with your work. And build your network of peers. Contacts and peers are very big, and they will help you in this industry just as much as anything else.
Yeah, definitely. And what would you say is your greatest career moment? Like, what would you say was like the best moment you've ever had?
Let's see. That's tough. I think in 1992, my wife and I got married in July of 92. And I had worked at a newspaper as a photo editor up until June of 92. So here I was, the newspaper shut down in June of 92. We were getting married in 3 weeks. Imagine being my in-laws going, oh great, this guy's marrying our daughter and he's out of work. But I decided at that point that I had had enough with working. I'd worked in newspapers for 13, 14 years. I had had enough with newspapers, and I decided to strike out on my own. And so, with the support of my wife, she was like, yeah, let's see how this goes, and if it doesn't go well after a year, maybe you go back to school and do something else. So that 1 year became 23 years now.
That's awesome.
So, that was good. I had some good friends help me out. I got connected with Upper Deck Trading Card Company, and they were great to me and still continue to hire me. And that was cool because the first year we were married, obviously you're young, you're they hired me to go shoot minor league baseball.
Okay.
So I traveled around for the next 2 years covering minor league baseball, and it was I look back on it and it was probably one of the cooler things I ever did because again, I had that personal connection. I got to know the athletes, and they weren't too full of themselves because they were all in the minors trying to make it to the big leagues. Made some friends along the way. It was a pretty cool moment. So,
yes.
I guess that would answer your question, right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So do you have like more freedom doing freelancing rather than working for a newspaper?
Yes and no.
Okay.
There's trade-offs to both. There's stability of working at a newspaper. There's a lot of things you'll learn working at a newspaper that you would never learn out in the field on your own. Anybody starting in the business, I would say if you can find a paper or a publication to work for, I highly recommend doing that first. That's kind of like, in a way of doing an internship or paying your dues or whatnot. There's, you learn the importance of deadlines and being on time and things like that, and relationship skills and things like that that you may not learn if you went off on your own first.
Very true.
The cool thing about being self-employed is here I am, I can take time out of my day to talk to you. The bad thing about being self-employed is right now I'm not getting paid because I'm talking to you.
Exactly.
This is not in any reflection on you, I'm just saying in general. A lot of people don't understand that. They'll say like, hey, we need to hire you for Friday, we've got a 3-hour event, and I'll mark off time. And so many people will call me on Thursday and go, oh, you know what, we've canceled it. Well, now I've turned down other jobs. And when I don't work, I don't get paid. When you're at a newspaper, your hourly, salary, whatever, you're going to get paid. So, like everything in life, there's trade-offs.
Okay. All right, awesome. And my last question is basically like, why do you think it's important, like sports photography or photography in general?
I think photography is important because it is still a very pure way of documenting time and chronicling events in the world, all around us. Just athletic events, but news events and things like that. Video is doing good things, of course, too, but I think too many photographers and video people nowadays rely too much on their camera to do all the work. And there's less creativity put into work or the effort that's out there. So many people will pick up their phone and just shoot, whether video or stills, and it's like, I still think let's put it this way, everybody today is a photographer.
Yeah.
But a real photographer is a person who takes time to compose lighting or work with different things in the environment, their environment that they're in, whether it be lighting or situation or people or and it's everything from, like, yesterday I did a portrait at Central's library. I had people in the background and studying and quiet and everything else. So what I did was I didn't move people. I just put my subject in front of those people so they were in the background.
Yeah.
I guess that would be.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So those are all the questions I had. It was.